Quest for Glory 3. It's a game about stopping a wall, usually, between the Simbani and the Leopardmen. We will not be seeing the Simbani or the Leopardmen in this video, and we're not going to be doing a lot of heroing. We're starting off with one single point in climbing, because that's apparently all it takes to climb the world's second tallest tree, and the rest of our points go into communication, because we need to persuade a monkey. The speedrun tech will fly by pretty quickly here, so I'll try to keep it brief. Once the intro is done, we will be setting the speed slider to maximum and the detail slider to minimum to speed up the game as much as possible, and we'll set the skill slider to max. I'll explain why later. The first thing we have to do for the speedrun is to get Krisha to be alone. She's the lion tour on the left. The one on the right is Rakesh. He's her mate and will not leave her alone, so we have to go and find a thief. He is on the next screen, and we are about to catch him running away from the scene of a crime, and the cutscene will be going at turbo speeds because of the way we set our settings. There he goes. And there it is. Usually, the speed caps there so you have a chance to react, but if you have skill and speed set to maximum, the game shows no mercy and just has him run away. But this is why we did it. Rakesh is now standing next to us in an audience with the Raja, and he will remain when we leave. Now that Krisha is alone, we can ask her about a ritual to create a magical staff. This is the one endgame item we actually need to beat the game as a wizard. To be honest, a lot of the speedrun is taken up by hunting down the reagents to make this thing. There is one more obstacle though, which is that we are actually stuck on the western side of the jungle until the afternoon of the second day, when Rakesh and you are supposed to be traveling to the Simbani village together. And rather than spending time adventuring, we're just going to turbo nap until we make it to the allotted hour. I will be doing one more speedrun tech here though, which is animation cancelling. You have a box in your inventory that takes a long time to open, so we'll click to open it just before we do another animation, which is sitting down on the pillow. After that, we'll use the animation of the chest opening to skip the final sleep animation, so we can go straight to the meeting. Of course, doing this actually disables the room exit, so you have to sit down on the pillow afterwards to re-enable it. It makes perfect sense. We animation cancel the box, and then we do the final rest as we're running towards this chest, and the animation of this will cancel the sleep and we can leave. A hero would actually pay attention to the story at this point, but we suffer from furious narcissism, so we're going to look at ourselves until we're thrown out. After a pleasant night of dreaming about ourselves, it's finally time to leave. Interestingly, it's actually dark out because we broke the space-time continuum by not sleeping properly. Now, we don't actually have control right now, we're supposed to have to go to the Simbani village, but if you open the menu on the next screen, you can select the move icon and click very quickly. This actually overrides the script, and you can choose to go elsewhere. This breaks the game in a lot of ways. Now, we have to fix the other thing that's broken. We have to reset the space-time continuum, and we can do that by casting juggling lights. We don't know why it works, but it does. If we tried to sleep before we did that, the time wouldn't advance properly, and we'd be stuck in permanent nighttime. This is a game world where a big evil can be trying to cover all the lands in perpetual darkness, and our hero can just do that accidentally because he has insomnia. The breakneck pace of the tech is going to slow down for a bit right now as we're traveling the overworld. One nice thing though is that we don't have any random encounters because the game still thinks that we are being escorted by Rakesh. By breaking out of that early, we basically get a very consistent overworld, which is excellent for speedrunning. Anyway, welcome to the Tree of Life. We're here to talk to the Guardian, who will give us the final information about crafting our Staff of Power. And by talking to him, I mean entering this room and leaving. Yeah, we're not good with people. But just entering that room sets a flag that lets us find a blue orchid in the jungle. It's incredibly rare. It has a 3-point-something% chance of showing up. Oh, there it is. Yeah, this is kind of why this is a world record by such a huge margin. I just got bullshit lucky. Okay, I'm also awesome, and this is really, like, well done overall. In terms of execution, everything went right, but my god. That's a 3.8% chance, and normally you'd cycle the screen repeatedly until it showed up. I just got it, man. My budgie is here to celebrate with me. So we dip the orchid in the pool of peace at nighttime, and then we go back to the tree to get the magical wood we need to make the staff. This is the only quest where we follow the intended progression. It's just because we need the staff for the very end game when we fight the demon wizard. If it wasn't for that, the speedrun would be like 8 minutes long. I played this speedrun on the 1.0 version of the game, which was not a good idea. You don't gain anything from it speedrun-wise, and it has a bug which is pretty nasty, is when you place the orchid on the altar at the top, the orchid turns into the staff, but the item for the orchid remains in your cursor, and if you left-click anywhere, you're trying to use an item you no longer have and the game crashes. I had to be so careful here. By very precisely swapping to the move cursor before doing anything. That was a bit nerve-wracking when I got first try Orchid and I was on, world record pace. Okay, now we just have a long commute ahead of us. This is... for speedrunning purposes, it's a good thing that there are no random encounters in the overworld right now since we broke out of the escort script. In the game proper, this would all be full of random encounters with all kinds of creative monsters. It's an RPG hybrid after all, so you're doing a lot of fighting. But for the speedrun, it's just this, and I have to fill some dead air before we make it back to town. The reason we slept in the Pool of Peace was to set the time of day exactly right. That way it was daytime when you looked for the orchid, nighttime when you went to dip the orchid in the Pool of Peace, which it has to be. Then when you come back here to make the staff with Krisha, we will be leaving as soon as this is done, and it will be daytime again. This is really good because we can break the space-time continuum again, and make it retain daytime for the rest of the game, which is useful for actually seeing what you're doing, especially for a YouTube video, it's a good thing. And here we're enchanting the staff with all of our power, we're binding it to ourselves, it's ours now, and we can run away. As we leave town, something interesting will happen. Rakesh is here again. Yeah, the flag never got cleared, so the game still thinks we're traveling to the Simbani village. So we get a do-over. But again, we can break out of that by just issuing a move command. There we go. Now we've also broken the space-time continuum once again, and it's going to remain broken for the rest of the game. So we've got perpetual daytime, which is, it's nice. Hey, look, there's the village we're supposed to go to. Yeah, we're just gonna skip past that. We're not heroes. In the speedrun, we're never the heroes. Normally, you'd be trying to prevent a war between the Simbani village we just ignored and the leopard men that we can't find. Instead, we're just going to go straight to the endgame to find the people who are instigating this war. Normally, we'd be blocked from entering the endgame, but in this case, something interesting happens again. The flag that never got cleared thinks we're still being escorted, so when we get to this screen, the endgame NPC Manu is taking us to his village. The script re-engages in the most inappropriate way. Welcome to the monkey village! Here we can use our one-point in climbing to get up this tree and talk to Manu. We have to persuade him to bring us to the lost city because only he knows the way. He's reluctant though, which is where the communication skill comes in. There is a chance with high enough communication that he will agree to go with you faster. It didn't work this time, I had to do the whole conversation, but I only lost 0.5 seconds, so in this run it's no big deal. We're coming up on one of the most interesting pieces of speedrunning tech of the run. The waterfall screen you usually have to traverse by solving a puzzle, but you can actually skip over it. By casting open and moving at the same time, you can actually glide over script areas, including the area that blocks us from leaving the screen. We can go out of bounds using this. The room exit on the right side actually isn't active until you solve the puzzle, but by casting Levitate while you're on the right side, you trick it into thinking you've solved it, so you can leave. We'll be casting Levitate again pretty much immediately too. Normally you'd have to fight this creature or run away for a long time, but by casting Levitate, you re-enable the room exits and you can just leave. Screw that encounter, nobody cares. And so it is that after roughly 9 minutes of play, we are at the final area of the game, the Lost City. We have to leave Manu behind here now and just engage in some puzzle solving. Now, there are things we've not been able to skip. This cutscene, for example, takes like 15 seconds and it's completely unskippable. We've never found a break for it. Quite boringly, we have to do some intended puzzles for a bit. I don't know, it's not my thing. At least wizards can just cast Fetch on the gem instead of having to climb up there and sit through a cutscene. Well, those of you who are familiar with the game will realize that I've come here without the Dispel potion, so I cannot dispel the demon. I have a hard fight ahead of me, but there's a cheese. But before I get to that, I actually have to take some damage. I have to let the demon hit me 3 times, so that a future cutscene goes faster. I'll explain then. Oh yeah, and this is the first time you see the combat screen, I guess. Normally you'd have to evade and block and whatever, but Relentless Offense works as well if you glitch the game into ignoring hit probabilities. By swapping between attacks in a very specific way, you have a 100% chance to hit. Couple that with some fireballs, and he goes down immediately. That fight is supposed to not be possible without grinding. Okay, and now we get to endure a 1 minute long unskippable cutscene. Yeah, we've never found a skip for any of the cutscenes in any of these games, so we just have to endure this. But on the bright side, we get to see all of these fun and creative and colorful characters that we didn't meet along the way. Yeah, who are you people? Oh, speedruns. And, since we didn't get the Dispel Potion, Rakisha's daughter is just lying motionless on the ground. Do you feel like a hero yet? It's okay though, Rakisha's gonna revive her, he's a paladin. So, the reason that I took 3 hits worth of damage from Mike Tyson, we call him, that's the demon we just fought, is so that I have low life going into the next stage. There's a supposed to lose fight, kind of, that's coming up. You're fighting a mirror image of yourself, like a demonic twisted form. Everyone is fighting, essentially, demon forms coming out of these mirrors. The game doesn't continue until you have low life. And it takes a while for the mirror image to bring you down to low life, but if you let Mike Tyson punch you a few times, you can start the encounter with low life, which means that it just progresses to the next part almost immediately, as soon as you take damage. Man, despite some of the awkwardness of the execution of the cutscene, I still think it's a very cool scene. It's a fun little thing, having all of your friends here fighting alongside you. They can't win, you can't win, but they can buy you some time to face off with a demon wizard. We take 1 single hit and Harami shows up. And we're off to the final room to face off against the things that have been instigating this entire conflict, that we did nothing to prevent. There's actually a scripted sequence here where you can go through a number of spells, including reversal and then just having a duel, but if you start with the staff, you can basically skip straight to the final stretch of that scripted sequence. He'll steal the staff, you can trigger the staff to self-destruct, you can fulfill your dreams of kicking a field goal, and perform the final input of the speedrun. For a 122.9. And that's Quest for Glory 3, and my bird is here to celebrate with me. Hey bird, come here. Come here you go. Hi little one. How you doing? So that's Quest for Glory 3. That's my commentated playthrough. Speedrun. Post-commentary thing. I'm looking at a bird. This is much more important. Have a good day, everyone. Oh yeah, and this is why I named myself that. It was all because of that joke. I hope it was worth it. Hey, chill, bird.